Welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 In, 3 Out, the most unique Seahawks podcast in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner. Find me out on Twitter at Clinton Bon, and I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz, and find him out on Twitter at Seahawkers Pod. Brandon, not that much to celebrate in this confounded year. However, when you slap a 50 burger on an NFL team, I don't care if the team has 2 wins. When you stack a 50 burger on top of an NFL team, you get fired up. How was your Sunday crawling into Monday for you, Brandon?
I'm already confused. Not much to celebrate in this year, Clinton. In this year, we are undefeated. The Seahawks are undefeated in 2022. There's a lot to celebrate in this year.
Wow, as the great White Goodman would say, touche with that one, my friend. So you nailed it. 2022, year of the Seahawks, into 2023, of course, and the whole thing. But thank you, Brandon, for just fixing my error of my ways straight away. And Brandon, as we get going, everybody, for anybody tuning in for the first time ever, well, thank you first and foremost, but we're going to get into, of course, the ins, the outs, the nooks, the crannies, and we're not going to hit up such huge things as the starring role of some of the folks like Rashad Penny, although we'll hear about that a little bit later. But we're going to hit up some more subtle things because that's what this show is all about, and it's for the fanatics. Now, typically, Brandon, I'm a homebody when it comes to Seahawks games. This year's been a little bit different in the sense that we were out, we're out of the playoffs. So my buddy Vinny. I was like, hey, I got tickets to the Bucs-Jets game. Why don't you, great seats, dude, free tickets. Why don't you come and take a ride down with me to the Meadowlands? I live in Connecticut. I'm like, sure, let's rock and roll. So went to the Bucs-Jets yesterday, had great, awesome seats, which was really cool. I went to use the bathroom when the AB everything broke out. I hear people just going bananas. I'm like, what's going on?
Get to see it live?
And dude, when I tell you the seats I had were about 4 rows right from where he started doing the hand waves in the end zone.
Oh my gosh.
Right there. So I missed the entire AB thing, which is what everybody wants to talk about. But it was pretty cool. Zach Wilson is a pretty good quarterback. He's actually pretty wily in the pocket and escaped 3 or 4 times. That was like just certain death, and he escaped it and got out to either make a play. Braxton Berrios is a very interesting little scat back type player, scat wide receiver, really, really shifty, very good as well. And a couple of things I wanted to share, Brandon, and this is I'm gonna tell the folks right now, this ends in a sad note, and I'm gonna need some convincing from you to tell me I'm wrong. So you ready for a little story here, Brandon?
I thought we got the sad news out of the way with you not being there for the AB moment.
No, that was just like, uncanny that I had to go use the bathroom for the, 11th time. I'm 43 years old, so now I have to use the bathroom a lot. Anybody, now you know my business. But so here we go, right? So I've been really, they passed the FanDuel, so we could use FanDuel, we could use DraftKings in the state of Connecticut. And of course, it's already been alive in the state of Jersey, so no problems placing my prop bets. I love my prop bets. So I place some money on, and we're talking $5 or $10. I don't go bananas. And by the way, if you don't got money, freaking, you're a grown up. Do what you want with your money, but don't blow your money on gambling. Yeah, right. So I place a prop bet on Gronk to go over on receptions. That was, a no-brainer. I hit that one. I placed a receiving yards on AB. That went down, that tanked down the tubes. But my favorite prop bet, which I ended up placing, halfway through the game of this game, my favorite prop bet of the week was Russell Wilson over 11.5 yards rushing. So throughout the week, I'm like, this dude, he showed it last week. Like, he's starting to come out of his shell. He's starting to run the ball more. He's pulling down some read options. So I love that bet. And the more and more I thought about it, I'm like, oh man, like, why is this happening? Like, why now? Why for the second week in a row is he pulling down a read option? Why is he taking off for all year long? He really was, even last year, wasn't taking off that, towards the second half of the year, not as much, but especially this year, really, really immobile. And the conclusion I came to, Brandon, is that Russell Wilson's agent got in his ear. This is my think. Okay. And was like, hey, dude, you got to put back on tape that you're still mobile. Like, you have got to put back on tape that you could still escape, scramble, move the chains with your feet, and you have a couple of games to do it. Otherwise, you're really diluting, your value and who you might end up going to. So My big sad conspiracy theory here is that his agent is in his ear about this, and we're seeing the Russell scramble ability, because if I had to lay the wood on this bet also, I think we saw Russ play his last game as a Seahawk at home.
Yeah, I almost get that even with some of his comments in his press conferences too. Like, well, one, the whole odd thing of him going, well, you guys asked Bobby yesterday
Right.
what he thought about it, if he might come back this year. And here are my thoughts about coming back next year. That is weird. Like, we have some Russell Wilson weird moments, and that was one of them. And then he continues to say, well, I hope I'm back. Well, I sure hope I'm back. Well, yeah, but Russ, you have a no trade clause. Yeah, but I really hope I'm back.
And you're under contract, right? So
Right.
no
You're under contract,
no trade
and
clause. Yeah, you're paid.
Contrast with what Russ is saying with saying, I hope I'm back, versus when Dwayne Brown was asked, he's like, oh man, I love being here. I would love to be back. Very, very different tone.
Yeah, I mean, I think Russ says the right. I mean, he's got 1,001 different foundations. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that the dude's incredibly philanthropic, and he's done so much for the community in different ways. Seattle Children's and I forget the foundation he just began recently last year. And with all that, I mean, I do think the dude is an honorable guy and sunken. I mean, in a good way, again, into the community of Seattle and the surrounding area. But I do think he's setting himself up for hey, I want to stay the whole time, guys. Like, if I had my druthers, I would have been here. It's like, well, dude, you are under contract. So if you really want to stay here, you could just keep playing football and make a lot of money doing that for a city that loves you, and stay on your Hall of Fame career path that you're on your arc, and hopefully go win that second or third Super Bowl you're talking about.
And here's the other line of thinking, though. Now, he could also be setting it up for this idea that, I mean, the dude's 33 years old.
Yeah.
If he plays the final 2 years of his contract, what kind of contract is he going to be getting 2 years from now when he isn't showing that kind of scramble ability? If that's, did I say that right? I don't know.
You did. You
Doesn't
did.
matter.
You did good.
But you talk about your agent, you're adding that value to it. I think that if you're going to push for an extension, again, I know he has 2 years left. The Seahawks don't normally do that, but why not push for it now? You get the money now is better than waiting and not getting it. As Dwayne Brown has found out, he's probably not going to get the kind of contract that he probably would have wanted a year ago. So I think there is something to that too. And so there is that. I qualify it with that. Like, he could be playing it that way too.
Listen, I hope he's playing I hope he's playing that type of game where he wants to be the prodigal son returns. I don't mean after an absence. I mean, just like, I'm the good guy, and retain that kind of quality where he's the one who decides to stay and he works it out and contractually and yada, yada, yada. Like, hey, pay me more now and shift the monies later, whatever. I hope it's true. Now, the one piece of all this, my gut says he's going to be gone, which is terrible. And I don't want that to be the case, but the breadcrumbs I'm seeing out there and this scrambling, that I was like, oh man, he's going to hammer this. He's going to absolutely hammer this, because he knows he needs to show this.
That's right. Now, okay, the sad ending to this, is it because he had kneel downs and kneel downs count toward his rushing total? And so
no.
So you went under
that was smash pot. He almost scored that touchdown. He had it was 11 and a half yards, but he had to put 20 something. No, that was a win. And again, we're talking about $5 or $10 on bets like that for me. So it's, not big, but I'd say the good news, so the bad news, the sad news is that's what my heart says and my gut says is the reality. The very good news is I thought Rashad Penny was a terrible running back. So I have been very wrong before, Brandon.
No, don't turn around on this yet, Clinton. You can point to the fact that his big games have been against the Texans, a depleted Chicago Bears defensive line, and now a Detroit Lions team. Don't get off this whole Penny. Don't all of a sudden hop onto the Penny is good bandwagon.
Oh man, I might be leading that train pretty darn soon, because I'm texting my boys. I'm like, dudes, and they're not Seahawks fans. I'm like, after 3.5 years of injury and just trashness, I'm like, what do we do now? Like 5 or 6 games of the guy being a Jonathan Taylor type, and even better with YPC. What are we supposed to do? Like, I know we have a lot of offseason to talk about it, but like the idea of a couple of weeks ago bringing him back was like, all right, it's a game. Now it's five weeks in a row where it's like, all right, do we just run back Carson and Penny and forget about running back? We have enough there, and then just go at other positions in the draft. That becomes pretty attractive. I got to be honest. So I can be swayed, is what I'm saying. So I hope I'm wrong about Russ. I hope I'm right about Penny. I know we got the ins and outs to get to. However, before we get there, Brandon, the one thing that it's always hazy, and we haven't done it quite enough this year, the one rule, of course, that governs 3 in 3 out. Remind the good folks, the good people of Earth, what is that one rule? Because I forget.
I'm having trouble with it myself. So I'm gonna throw you a little bit of a quiz.
Okay.
I want you to picture yourself in this situation.
I'm here.
You just saw all the other teams not named, I don't know, the Dallas Cowboys, Buffalo Bills, New England Patriots, metaphorically blow up in a bus explosion.
Okay, I could be there.
I call you up on the phone and I say, pop quiz, hotshot. Once the Seahawks go over 50 points in one game, what do you do? What do you do? You start with it.
All right. You didn't say that the other team didn't score. I'm a pretty literal guy. You start with it in. So the over 50 points, the 51 burger, 54 burger, whatever it is, and we're starting with it in. I like it. I like the speed reference here. So let's hit it again. I heard you hit it. Let's go. All right. So is that Harvey Keitel? Is that who that is? Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper.
There you go.
I'm like Harvey Keitel, Dennis Hopper. They're in good movies. Of course, Keanu and Sandra Bullock. All right, quickly, your favorite Sandra Bullock role?
Oh, favorite of all? Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, with Betty White's passing, I got to go with. Now I'm gonna blank on the movie. It was the one with her and Ryan Reynolds, and then she and Betty White are dancing around.
It's the date marriage
Proposal?
movie, right?
I think it's the Proposal.
The Proposal. Yeah. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like Demolition Man. I just thought that was a great movie. She's funny in it. It's got the 3 shells scene, and as like a teenager, that was interesting.
Maybe one of the best Sandra Bullock. One of the best movies that Sandra Bullock is in.
Right. Yeah, I mean, her role is, she's not the star, but she's good. She's quite good in that movie, and she's funny. I miss Congeniality, of course. She's done well. She's done well for herself. So, all right. Speaking of doing well for ourselves, now we're getting into it. Q1 0-0. Let's see. We got the ball on. I think it's Detroit's got the ball. I believe it's on Seattle. It is on Seattle's 29-yard line. About 10:26 to go in the first, and we're noticing that there's barely any Wagner, right? Or no Wagner, just he ain't out there. And I didn't know this until the rewatch. And by the way, you could fill me in with like, what happened? Was he hurt? Did he come back in later? I'm watching the first quarter. I'm like, Wagner's barely out there. What's going on?
Yeah. If you watch the rewatch, it probably took out all of the parts of where he was down on the field, but it was a knee injury that he went out with, and he came out, he tried to go back on, but because it was the injury timeout type thing. So
gotcha.
You could tell that it wasn't super serious, but it was serious enough that he didn't come back in and play the game.
Okay. Well, there you have it. So yeah, for me, I did have to just kind of watch the condensed version. So I did not see it that way. The play that I want to call out here though is Detroit does a little motion with that guy, Jared Pickney. He's like a rookie tight end, number 80 for their guy. And it's a handoff. I think it's to Williams or Swift, but you could put a bunch of different plays in here where Jordan Brooks was once again really, 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 really good. This particular play, 10:26 to go. This guy Pickney comes in motion. So he's coming towards the screen if you're watching. And it's kind of this beautiful little play. The end of the play, Barton's making the tackle with John Reed, with Collier, and the first dude to actually lay the first lick is Brooks. It's just such a neat little, like almost nuanced veteran thing where the guy comes in motion, it's hiked, and this guy Pickney takes an angle at Brooks, and Brooks just kind of does like this ole. It's very subtle. It's very it's Matador-esque, and the dude just goes, I mean, literally just olays him. He goes right by and he launches, I think it was Williams, because freaking Swift barely touched the ball. He launches into Williams, hits him there, and then the very next play, Seattle gets the 4th down stop anyway on a good stop. I think that was by Monet. But the in is to Brooks. That play was like the thing I would say is a really interesting play. But across the board, man, Brooks in a year that's going to be like lost in Seahawks history in certain ways, Brooks has stood out. Brooks is like, he's really good at football, man. He's a good linebacker. So love seeing him shine, love giving him the first in, and for him doing something that's to me seemed like a crafty veteran type play where it's like, I'm not going to, go one-on-one with you. I'm going to let you fly right by because you're a big dum-dum and I'm going to go make the stick. So Brooks with the first in, what do you think?
This is interesting because I wonder now with Bobby being out, if we're going to be able to see Jordan Brooks now overtake him and get that franchise record.
Wow.
Yeah, it could happen, I suppose. But I suppose, Bobby, just rest up, get your knee healthy, come back next year, be good, continue to be awesome, in fact. And yes, Jordan Brooks, I love that we're starting with the in here because he had a heck of a day making tackles. I would have liked to see him. We talked a little bit about what we'd like to see in the 3 and 3 out preview. And I'm a little bit bummed we didn't get to see him shift over to and play more of that middle linebacker spot that they put Cody Barton in. But, and no, I don't feel responsible for saying that I want to see him playing some middle linebacker. So let's just leave it at that. In Jordan Brooks, nice game. And yes, it was Brian Monet, Darrell Taylor on that 4th down stop.
Oh, very nice. All right, hit that button. Let's flip over to the stupid side. All right, we're over to the whammy side over here. Okay, yeah, the outs for those who don't follow along at home just yet. Okay, this is nice. You put up a 50 burger. By the way, we had some people you'll see from the flock section like, oh, this was soft or this was open. And I replied to some people on Twitter that were calling things out. I was like, listen, when we went up 38-7. I just mentally shut down, like picking up.
When
like
you go up 38-7, that is when it's okay to play that kind of defense.
That's
not when you're up by 10.
No, not up by 10, not up by 4, not up by 2, not up by 3. But when you go up 38-7 and you want to sit back in a soft cushion, have at it. You've earned the right to be in a soft cushion. However, the one I'm going to call out first, this is different play. Quarter 1, 7-0. Where are we at? So, all right. So yeah. So now we're driving. We're on Detroit's 28-yard line, and it's 2nd and 9. What I want to call out here is that we'll talk about the efficiency of the offense. Starting out with an in when you have a 50 burger on a team is probably what we're going to do a lot today. The offense looked really good. And I know it's Detroit. I also don't care. Detroit has taken some other teams to the wire. It's beaten a couple teams. Tie was Pittsburgh, I guess, right? The team we lost to.
And it's 50 points. The reason why I said those 3 teams off the top, what I mentioned, the
Texans,
Bills,
Jags, yeah.
Gotcha. The ones
on the bus blowing up.
Yeah, the bus blowing up. It's because the Cowboys, the Bills, and the Patriots, those are the 3 teams that have all gone over 50. And so the Seahawks are one of only 3 teams this season
put up a 50 burger.
50 points.
Gotcha. I thought it was gonna be like the Bills lost to the Jaguars. How'd that happen, by the way? How does that even happen? Yeah, no, nobody knows. Nobody knows yet. But good point. But the 50 burgers, you put them up, it's a good thing. So the offense just looked really quick, really fast, and really just on the right pace. The one thing we still can't do to save our freaking lives is effective screen game. So this particular play, this is the one where by the time Russ is throwing the ball, he's probably like 16 to 18 yards deep, literally 16 to 18 yards deep. And how do I know that that's actually possible? Because he throws the ball forward, like a 1930s forward NFL pass. It's received by Tyler Lockett, and I paused it. Lockett's 9 yards behind the line of scrimmage when he receives this freaking screen. 9 yards behind, how is that not the one you just throw into the dirt, right? Or just or burn that playbook. Never ever. It's like Spaceballs when Lord Helmet is flying into the coffee maker there. And he's like, never show this play again, right? Don't ever do that again. If you're catching a ball 9 yards behind the line of scrimmage and it's not like some Music City Miracle, like shame on you, shame on us, shame on Russ. That's an out, man.
So he catches it and is able to get 5 yards before he goes down still, and it's still a 5-yard loss. Man, yeah, that's this team has screen problems, and but we've seen. We're going to go from an out to an in, but we saw all the other things that can make this team a good team, and it's baffling in a way but it's also not surprising in another way that really all it needs. And I posted on Twitter. I said, yes, this is what this offense is supposed to look like. And everybody's, yeah, but it's against Detroit. But yeah, okay, it's against Detroit. But at the same time, you're seeing what this offense looks like with a competent run game and how and all the other things that they can build off it when the run game is working. So whether or not it's the Detroit defensive line that the offensive line is able to push around, if you're able to push around an opponent's defensive line and get those big chunks in the run game, it sets up Russell Wilson and the rest of the offense to, you talk about the Sean Kemp zone. We're in the Sean Kemp zone in this game.
Yeah, I love you bringing that up. It's the truth and the analogy there. Again, we'll say it one more time for those that didn't hear it for the last couple of years. When the Sonics were the Supersonics, I'll still call them, were always winning. It's when Sean Kemp was like, 17 points, 18 points, 11 rebounds. Like those nights, they freaking cruise to victory. When they asked Kemp to do too much, whenever he had to try and be a 30-point scorer, they almost lost every single one of those games. And I was a big Supersonics fan. That was my team, and hoping that they bring him back. So, all right, but I do want to get to some of the good stuff, some of the juicy stuff, some of the ins you're talking about. So let's hit that celebration button. Let's get back over to an in. All right, you're good at that foreshadowing thing there, Brandon. So I do what I wanted to. It's kind of like the first one where I kind of want to talk about a macro thing that was happening, but also show a play or I'm like, wow, that signified what I'm talking about here. So the macro, I'll give that, is that
D. Eskridge is in motion on this play.
you know he is at some point. Actually, he's not on this particular play, but however,
I figured you'd get to that, but I thought it'd be sooner than later.
But there's dudes in motion, of course. There's cross motion here, but this was, again, it's like, to me, we talk about the running game. It's like, to me, it's like this is what it was always. This is what the running game and then therefore the offense was supposed to be. And we saw it. I know it's a bit of broken record territory for those that listen every week. And we saw it in the first game against Indy, and then it got derailed for a bit. And my core belief is that the D. Eskridge injury really pooched things up for us more than it should have, to be frank, because we have other dudes who can do those things, which we saw this game, by the way. Swain, we saw Hart, we saw, Tyler on the pop pass. So other folks are quick too. But the play in particular, Q1, 4:10 to go, 7-0. We're at the Seattle 26-yard line, and we got Russ under center. Penny is 7 yards deep, and they got this like beautiful little stack left. So you got like they're right there. They're just a triad of dudes lined up all tied together, and it's DK, Everett, and Lockett. So, and then pre-motion snap, you got Lockett coming in motion, going left to right. So he's coming across the formation, hike the ball, and then they bring Everett left to right on the snap. So you got, and Lockett brings a couple of linebackers with him with the pre-snap motion. They snap the ball, and Everett is cross formation. Russ turns to his left, hands it to Penny back to his left. The whole right side of the line is crashing down, left, setting up this perfect cutback lane. And again, it's like playing to the strengths of this type of back. What can I say? Penny has shown that little nimbleness of the one cut or this little stutter before he hits the hole and go. He's been, what can I say, magnificent with it, right? This was a 13-yard play, not even the 37-yard one, not one of the touchdowns, but so well executed. I'm just like sitting there like chef's kissing this replay, watching it over and over and over again. And it wasn't just this one play in a vacuum. It's all the motions they set up, which set up further stuff down the line, which set up jet sweeps, set up the Tyler Lockett pop pass touchdown, because the motion confuses the crap out of people. So just beautifully done, man. And it comes with the tier of like, couldn't we have done this all year? Like, couldn't we have done this all friggin' year long? And that makes me a little sad, to be honest. But it's an in, so take it away before I cry.
It does have you wondering why it couldn't be this way. And a part of it, I think, is that they didn't have healthy talent at running back. And, part of that's Chris Carson going down to injury, Penny continuing to deal with injury through the first half of the season. And he has looked like a different guy. And Phil Leidick in the Discord, we were talking, we were thinking the same thing at about the same time, watching some of these runs by Penny. And it's like, this is kind of what it was like to watch Sean Alexander in his heyday, because he was, the way that Penny's running and the type of holes that they're opening up for him, it's 5-6 yards before a defender's even getting a hand on him. And so with that burst of speed that he has, and all of a sudden he also has this vision also to find the hole, where before, and I think part of that could go toward the offensive line just not opening the type of holes for him. But he does seem to have this combination now of vision and speed that is reminiscent of Alexander. And so when he gets going and he has those little micro movements that throw off the defenders enough to where it just, they're not able to get a good clean hit on him down the field.
It's an interesting comparison, and one that I had not thought of, but and I love Alexander, but it doesn't irk me the wrong way. Well, I guess if you're going to be irked, it doesn't irk me, period. It's more like, okay, I could see that. A couple of weeks ago, I think it was maybe last week. Yeah, I think it was last week, or maybe the week before, when we had the gap in between. I talked about him kind of looking a little bit like Maurice Jones-Drew when he was like peak MJD, because he's only 5'11", which is not short for a running back, but he is a little stocky, but he still has that burst. And Maurice Jones-Drew at like his very best, is his peak time, was that combination of like, he could be a little bit patient, but he would hit the hole like a little bulldog and be super difficult to bring down, and he'd bounce off people. So it's somewhere in between there. Like, he's kind of like his own thing. But yeah, there were a couple of plays where Penny gets to that second level. There was one play where he breaks out to the second level and he realizes he's got room, and he kind of does like a little head nod, like a 1930s, leather helmet head nod, and then just hightails it like Alexander used to. So that's a good comparison there, where it's like he just turned on everything he had and took it for like 25 more yards down the sideline. So what can I say? We're entering week 18 of the NFL season in year 4, and I'm finding myself falling in love with Rashad Penny for the first time, and probably for the last time.
Oh yeah, don't do it. I mean, gosh, I think that paying, it depends on and the good thing is you have free agency before the draft, so you can see how that plays out for Penny. But gosh, I hope you're not talking about any kind of astronomical contract.
Back up the truck, ring the bell, Brandon. No, but listen, if they're like, hey, listen, dude, we'll give you a 1-year prove it deal. We'll pay you for it, or like whatever, like something reasonable, a 2-year deal, because the injury history is what it is. You don't get to erase 3+ years of injury history because you had a good 5 or 6 weeks. You don't get that. Maybe another team is like, back up the truck. Hey, whatever, not even to name a team. Like, you could see like the Jaguars doing something like that, right? Yeah. Just back up the truck and pay you. If he wants that, okay, then go over and play with that kind of disaster of a franchise. That's fine. But
Jaguars wouldn't do it. They're pretty good at running back right now.
Well, they got Etienne who's hurt, and they got Robinson who tore his Achilles. So I'm not sure how tight they are right now. But anyway, either way, it's interesting. And it will be a continued story. But if we could go something, give them a 1-year deal, we roll back Carson and Penny with others, with Homer, et cetera, Dallas. My point being is, this time around, I'd rather spend that second round pick, I don't know, on maybe like a center or something, something like that we really need. So, all right, we got a few more routes to hustle on over to. Let's hit the cry button. What do we call it? The whammy. Let's hit the whammy. Here I am forgetting that we call it a whammy. Shame on me. I need to do better.
See, you rebrand the in button, the celebration button, and you forget the whammy. There's only so much room.
Right. I mean, they're literally up here. It's for everyone in. There's an outlet. Trust me. It is a sober yin up there, and a raging yang often. So now we're talking. So the very next, if you recall, my out before was Q1 with the screenplay that was a disaster. The very next play is not a disaster of a play call or play scheme. It's schemed up really, really well. The out is going to go to D Eskridge, and I'm still a D advocate. He had a very nice play later in the game, which, by the way, I thought he scored.
Penny is getting like praise, and we're getting Eskridge and the outs. What is going on? What happened in 2022?
Cats and dogs. Yeah, well, 2022. Cats and dogs living together, right? Mass hysteria. And with that, there's a reason for this. I got to be fair, right? If I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. And I'm still a believer in D Eskridge, and I think the team runs through that type of player still. I think I've made that point very clear. And in fact, I think it's been proven like that type of player and their skill set is 100% a keystone in what Waldron's trying to do.
I can see where you would draw that conclusion, but I think that the more important correlation to me is having a running back that can rush for over 100 yards a game, and so they can lean that way.
But those holes we're talking about, you just mentioned, like to take a little bit off the penny pan wagon here, bandwagon, taking it off any wagon you got hitched to him. Travis Homer went in, and the holes are, he's getting hit 3 yards, 5 yards downfield. The holes are there. Travis Homer, he's literally just a guy as a running back. Hey, good for you. Go have a decent NFL career, make your money, be a good Seahawk, be a good special teamer. He's just the guy as a running back. He hits the hole hard. That's one thing. Travis Homer, he gets the ball. He does not dilly dally. He's getting hit by a linebacker 5 yards downfield. So, taking that back a bit, I think it's because of all the motions and the athleticism and the pulling and the crashing down that's really being executed now. Now, back to that particular play, the next play was also a screen attempt. This time, Russ didn't drop back, 22 yards, which is A, that's good. B, he threw the ball forward and across the line of scrimmage, so 2 for 2 so far. And you have Lockett and DK setting up to have like a 2-on-3 situation where D is going to get the ball, and they're like going to crash down on I think it's like 2 corners and a safety most likely, or if they're playing like a nickel, there's just three corners out there essentially. And D just doesn't sit down. Like you could tell where Russ throws the ball that this is not a Russ miss. He didn't misfire the ball. And the reason I know that it wasn't Russ is because the play ends and DK looks at D and he points at his eyes, and he might be saying something like, dude, focus, or, hey, you got to see what we're looking at here. But he's telling him, dude, you missed something. You didn't sit down where you're supposed to. Lockett and DK are about to wash their dudes out. And then you got a guy like D Eskridge with basically a one-on-one against the guy. And I like our chances. To at least pick up 8, 10, and maybe he breaks it. So it's little things
at least it's not a 51-yard field goal then that you're attempting afterward. I think the goal of that play is to at least get some yardage, so it's like a 40-something yard field goal rather than in the 50s.
And a rainy day in Seattle, Myers has been, it's not an even year, although because it became 2022, and
here we are.
Year, he's perfect. This is all right. The numerology is fantastic here. And if you're like juxtaposing, you brought up Amon-Ra St. Brown in the What If show, and it was a great call out. And if you just start to like look at the subtleties and the little things that he does right every single time, and we're not seeing that yet from D, I'm like, wait a second. I think skill set wise, D might even be more skilled, more athletic. Cool. Certainly has better tape, if you will, right? In terms of 40-yard and all that jazz. However, hey, who would you want on your team right now? Probably St. Brown from the way he showed out this year. So it's little things like that where I'm like, oh man, going into year 2, that's the stuff that he's got to clean up to get his butt off of the outside of the ledger. All right. All right. He said good. He's right back to the celebration button. All right. So we're going to celebrate here. What do I got? I've got some. Okay. So, oh yeah. This one. This is coming. I can guarantee where this is coming. So Lions are at the 1 yard line. We're up big. Amon-Ra St. Brown scores like a couple plays later. I don't care. I don't care. The the first down play, Diggs makes a beautiful hit on DeAndre Swift, kind of helicopters him. He doesn't get in. The very next play, Brandon, do you remember who did something that we like to call out whenever it does happen? Do you know who's going to be getting the love right now?
Did a soul get taken?
A taking of the soul. It was a soul taking, right, by Darrell Taylor. He just crashes down the line and absolutely just lays out Williams, who just, for some reason, almost like he's not expecting him, although he's getting the ball, which is weird. He just lays him out so beautifully. Perfect timing, like the picture perfect how you're supposed to tackle in 2022, the year of the perfect hit. And Darrell Taylor, man, like that was just so freaking beautiful. So pumped up. Love the goal line stand. Love that the young dudes are still playing so freaking hard, even though it's a bit of a lost season. And I knew that, if we're talking about soul taking, that it'd make you smile. And I see you smiling over there.
Yes. Darrell Taylor. Yeah, as soon as that happened, man, that was an in play if I ever saw one. And yeah, you had me on the Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown, and I was back in the first or second quarter when he scored his first one. I was trying to think, was there like a thigh arms play? Because we call out thigh arms when he's making plays. But yes, the soul crushing tackle by Darrell Taylor. He has been. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do on this defensive line, because we were having the discussion on which guys are you even excited about for the future on the different lines, and how they don't have a ton of talent there, but I think in terms of guys that you really are excited about going forward, I think Darrell Taylor has to be the one, whether it's offensive line, defensive line, that you're the most excited about.
Yeah, I mean he's also, like, with that, like, he's a very exciting watch. I'm not, of course, going to be like, oh, like, Lawrence Taylor. But when we talk about like, oh, this guy reminds you of Sean Alexander, and I say, well, this guy reminds you of Lawrence Taylor, I understand there's a gap there. I'm not trying to say the dude's one of the best all timers. I'm talking about the way he kind of moves. Like he's like at some, and which may be at some points not the greatest technique, because he's a little wild. Like he's a little bit like out of control sometimes, where like he's jumping, he's trying to jump through the line, and he's trying to, like, kind of Millennium Falcon his way and go sideways through the Death Star and make a crease for himself and get through. But it's because he's like seems to be really athletic. Like he's just trying things out there that I don't think dudes of his size typically can pull off, because they would flounder around out there. But he stays super strong on his feet. So it's one of those things where, like, I'm with you. I think he's got superstar potential, and we have to keep reminding ourselves that this is really his rookie year. Like he was totally a wash. Couldn't make it back at the end of last season. It's really his rookie campaign. And I give that dude, well, if it's Dunlap, cool, play him a lot more, right? Dunlap had a couple disruptive pass rushes this week too, but maybe try and upgrade there. Of course you'd want to, like, go give him somebody on the other side of the line that they really got to worry about. Imagine going into next year where, like, the guy opposite Taylor is the guy getting double teamed. Like you'd see Taylor get to 10, 12 sacks, I think in his sleep, which would be cool, which would be cool. So I'm smiling. We hit the celebration button. We got one more stupid whammy to talk about. So let's flip that switch and get to the out. All right, there's one more to talk about. I'm going to do the thing when we win, we turn an out into an in. And I want to just serve this over to you and ask you about this. And the reason it's an out is maybe long-term / like, end of an era type question. My question is, did Cody Barton look better to you in coverage than Bobby has pretty much all season?
Yeah, I kind of knew that something like this was coming. And I was thinking about this a lot, just because, Bobby is Bobby, and Cody Barton is not going to be Bobby Wagner. I don't expect him to be.
No.
But at the price that you're paying for Cody Barton versus the price on the team that you're paying for Bobby Wagner, is this a preview of where you go, yeah, if you spent $15 million on a dude on the offensive line who is competent and can protect Russ, and do you do that versus, or even a pass rusher, versus the money that you're spending at Bobby Wagner. It gives you the chance to think that way and say the type of money that could be spent elsewhere. Now, they may get to the point where the salary cap is good. They can spend it in all other ways, and they say, okay, Bobby, we don't need to take a look at your contract because we're doing fine elsewhere. But yeah, this definitely had me thinking that Cody Barton is, he's okay. And often at middle linebacker, all you need is okay to pretty good.
It may be like a center, meaning if you have the right types of pieces around
center,
him,
pass rusher, gosh, they might need a left tackle. Yeah.
Oh, I'm saying like you could get away with the mediocre guy if you're building well enough around him. Right. Posick has been, again, the run blocking, and Posick has been fine, the last, several weeks, right? Once he came back from injury, and even Jake Curran, like credit where due, he got burnt for one play, and obviously Detroit's not.
Yeah. So does Brandon Shell. So
exactly. So we might see a couple of people that are kind of the future there. Now this was, I don't want people to get their, what in a bunch. I didn't say, did Cody Barton look better at linebacker than Bobby Wagner? And you didn't answer it that way. My specific question was, which you answered, was in coverage. Did he look, and it's about his quickness. It's just, I think, like a natural fact of like, Cody Barton is still a fairly young man, especially in NFL years and in NFL years. Bobby Wagner is not. And Barton looks a heck of a lot quicker, and it seemingly has more ability to cover that over the middle stuff, that while we're celebrating Wagner getting all these tackles, there was a couple of these that were straight up breakups where Barton was on the guy and it wasn't caught in the first place. So it's just, it's just one of those things where I want to honor and recognize that the dude's I love Bobby, one of our all timers, obviously Hall of Famer, and at 20 million APY next year, I think he goes to 20 million. It may be time to say, hey, thank you so much, and we gotta let you mosey on. Maybe they figure it out. I don't know, but it was still kind of cool. And that, by the way, this is an out. It was still kind of cool to see Barton cover the ball so darn well when we put this 50 burger up versus the Detroit Lions there, Brendan.
So the out is to Cody Barton for making us have to think about this conversation and work through it mentally that Bobby Wagner could be gone next year.
Precise.
Screw you, Cody.
That is exactly, you said it perfectly, my man. So anyway, we got through the ins. We celebrated the ins. We got through the outs that were the whammies. But when it's a 50 burger victory, we're going to be, a little more energetic, put a little more emphasis on the inside of the ledger. And in a year where this is only our 6th victory, you're darn tootin', we're going to do that anyway. So, however, this, we win. We start with an in. And Brandon, now your serve, you get it. I get to sit back. The brand in. What do you got this week? What was eating Gilbert grape, but in a good way that you wanted to bring to the surface and share with the good people of the flock?
Yeah, let's dig into the nooks and the crannies with this one, because I want to go to the final Seahawks play of the second half.
Okay,
for on offense. It was just after Travis Homer got it down to the 1 yard line, and they're setting up to try and score here for the touchdown. You called out a very similar play earlier on where the offense goes left, and instead of handing it off to the running back for the cutback, though, it's a little pop pass to Tyler Lockett. And it's the way they set that up. But the guy I'm giving the into here is Will Dissly, because he leaves just enough of a gap on the inside to think so that Austin Bryant for the Lions, number 2, he thinking that maybe he can shoot that gap if he sees Tyler coming across and ends up getting the ball. But with the motion and the momentum that Tyler's building, all Dissly has to do is just give him a little bit of a shove, and it moves him too far to the inside. Tyler's able to get around him, and the cool thing is that he gives him the shove, and then that opens him up to go and then take the lead blocking role. He puts his hands on the safety, and it allows Tyler Lockett to walk into the end zone. So to Will Dissly getting the in for that perfect execution of those 2 blocks.
Oh, wonderful. I loving giving the brand in to Uncle Will there, who, he's battled his injuries and hasn't made the inside of the ledger. We'd maybe have to go back and look, maybe once or twice this entire year. So lovely to have him on the inside. And that play was it was again built off of so many other looks where they didn't run it that way. Like even that particular play, it's also like it's Russ is still faking a handoff too. He pop passes it and he's still there with like a fake handoff. Not sure if that was Penny or Homer at that point. And and we also, it looks so crisp, right? It's like when we run screens and we're like, oh gosh, how come we can't execute a screen? These are the types of plays where it's like, we thought we'd see them all year long. We didn't really. And then we've kind of struggled with some of them. We haven't run them crisply. And when we see ourselves do it this way, it's like, holy crap, like that was like a well-oiled machine, which I think harkens back to our discussion from last week with what happens with Waldron.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do? What do we do? Let's, whatever. I don't know what's happening with Russ. I don't know what's happening with Pete. And, let's say Pete's here. What do we do with Waldron? It's like, once again, like I've seen enough of the glimpses of what he wants to do with this offense that I'm like, I think we give him a second year and hopefully with freaking Russ. But that was, to me, was like proof in the pudding. I love that call out. Love that it went to Disley. And that play was just, again, beautifully executed, man. Love it. Good job.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of time to talk about different coaching changes and what you do. It's these few games that give us a lot to think about. And I suppose we're going to have a few answers too once the season ends on where certain pieces are moving, because you have to expect that something is going to change. And yeah, what exactly that is, I agree. I think that you see enough from Waldron that you got to bring Shane back another year. If everything else if certain other things are staying the same,
right,
then it just doesn't make sense to, keep Pete Carroll and Russ, but then bring in a new offensive coordinator and then have to try and go through all of this again as he's trying to build his system into the Pete Carroll system. Cause I think that's their Pete Carroll / Russell Wilson system. It's because for so much of the season, it's looked like the same offense, but you see those things that are a little bit different here and there. And now you have a game like this to where you see it all kind of working together. And yeah, it makes me, the Seahawks, I don't know if Seahawks fans were booing because they didn't get that final score. They took the knee down at the end, or if they were booing Pete Carroll and the Seahawks for like, why didn't you just do this sooner?
Yes. Hey, or like the third possibility there is that I still think D. Eskridge got in the end zone on that freaking run.
They're booing the officials for not giving him the touchdown.
I don't get. I watched it. That and the Russ scramble. I was like, didn't Russ get in? And again, I was watching it, just as a rewatch. And
Russ was short.
He was short.
I didn't watch the TV broadcast copy for the Eskridge touchdown to see where the knee.
Yeah, but he sure looked like he was in. So that's in my head. They're booing the referees there. So
or maybe just a lot of Scorigami fans, and they knew that extra score was going to get them to Scorigami, and trying to get Pete to go for it.
Yeah, because we know Pete loves two things in this world, right? A 4-pack of the pink stuff, however he says that. I butchered that.
4-packer.
Wait, what is it?
Straight pink 4-packer.
Straight pink 4-packer, and of course some Scorigami. All right, one thing we love, Brandon, when we win, we start with the end, we get the Brandon, and of course we award the MVC, the most valuable cranny, the physical award that we ship out to the PNW. It'll be at the VMAC, and you can look for it. Where could you find it typically, Brandon?
Well, it's usually right in the player's locker.
Right in their locker.
But during the season, now that it's the end of the season, players have a chance to keep those. They can either keep the trophy or, if you go into the VMAC, they have this really nice trophy case. You got the Lombardi there. And I think what they plan on doing, if the player decides not to bring the MVC home with them, they expect to be back. They want to put it in their locker next year. Then they have the MVC trophies kind of up behind the Lombardi.
Yeah, it's like for the off seasons, because people's houses are really cluttered unless they're like Cliff Kingsbury, and most people don't live that way, so they keep their MVC next to the Lombardi for safekeeping during the off season. And so with that, when a soul is taken, an MVC it gets its wings. What can I say? Darryl Taylor simply put, you take a soul, you make the hit of the game, and you do it in your way, and you get fired up. You get the NBC, dude. So Darryl Taylor will be shipping it out to you. We expect to see it hopefully in your lockup this last week. But congratulations to number 52 out there. I don't know if it's his first MVC, but probably won't be his last.
I love it.
Oh,
I love it. And I love people who are getting in the flock and are becoming members of the flock. Patreon.com/flock or getintheflock.com. $3 a month, you get into the Discord channel. $12 a month or more, you get into our Facebook Ring of Honor group. And we've got some ins, we've got some outs. These are the ones that come from you, the listeners. And we're going to get to them now.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And you mentioned the Seahawkers Pod Ring of Honor. I brought it up last week. So before I want to kick into this real quick and give I better wave the white flag and say congratulations to Garrett Banks. He took me down. We're recording it before the Monday Night Football game, but the bad news is he has more points than me. I'm out of players, and he has Nick Chubb. So unless Nick Chubb loses about 13 or so, I don't win. I don't win.
Negative points for fumbles.
Right, exactly. Hey, we could all aspire to pull a Mike Glennon and throw for negative 10 yards when the day is done. But even that might not do it. I need him to
He needs to fumble 3 times and throw 2 interceptions.
Exactly, which is very, very plausible for Nick Chubb to do. So congrats to Garrett Banks on the Seahawkers Ring of Honor Fantasy League, the Premier League, taking home the championship. So good job, dude. We'll be back to get you, next year. But a lot of these ins and outs are coming from the Ring of Honor. Brandon, why don't you take the honors and kick us off here?
All right, we'll start with Michael Paul, #3i30. My man, Rashad Penny, #SuckItHaters, #GoAztecs, #GoHawks.
Listen, Michael, once again, we all know by now, Michael ain't wrong. And I was less right than he was when it comes to his man, Rashad Penny. We got Chris Boucher. He has a #3i30 tagging us both. He says, so when does Clinton's Rashad Penny jersey arrive in the mail? Well, Chris, I am not getting a Rashad Penny jersey yet.
Lisa Carlson gives an in to Seahawks legend Adrian Peterson on the sidelines. Yes. And it's what did they ask him about? He could see the appeal of coaching after seeing, just because all of this with Penny has apparently come from the fact that they signed Adrian Peterson to the team and made this such an impact, because Pete Carroll's mentioned it, I don't know, 3 or 4 times since the arrival of AP. And Penny even spent, a minute and a half of his press conference talking about Peterson. So I guess this is real, that you just sign Adrian Peterson and it makes Rashad Penny awesome.
If that is all it took, 3.5 plus years in, then so be it, right? And we talked about it. We're like, is Pete just tooting his own horn here and politicking about how his little subtle moves this way and that way are really good for culture building and coaching? And maybe so, maybe it is, and if he is, maybe it's a so what. Like if you get those kind of results with the dude, then maybe it just works, which is all good. By the way, you mentioned Seahawks legend AP on the sidelines. We also got to recognize Seahawks legend Devin Hester is a nominee, I believe, for the finals for the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
So it'd be nice to get one more Seahawks legend in the Hall of Fame. Clearly, he'll probably have the Seahawks bust with him, I'd imagine.
Well, they don't do team bus, but yes, I think they're going to make an exception for Devin Hester, because he's going to pound the table and be like, put my bust, put, a Seahawks headband on me, a Seahawks jersey, cut out a second, put me between Steve Largent and Cortez Kennedy.
Yeah, sure. I love it all. Yeah. Break all the rules when it's a Seahawks legend such as Devin Hester. More legendary talk here though by Kevin Russell in the Ring of Honor. He goes, don't want to be that guy, but there's not all good things here from this game. But he gives the in Penny. We heard a lot about him. He's going to be expensive to keep, but he's earning his corn now, which is like an interesting turn of phrase, turn there, which I thought was cool.
Quan?
Earning his corn, right?
Okay.
This is I guess
because isn't it Jerry Maguire as Quan?
Oh well, that was. Yeah, he was the ambassador of Quan, is what he was.
Okay.
I don't think he was. That was more like a state of being, right? It was like that was his.
It's been a while.
Yeah, good movie though. Very, very good movie. In fact, we also had the in. He says, "Nice to see touchdowns from many different sources. And of course, DK getting the hat trick. I appreciate when folks use hockey vernacular. So thank you, Kevin, for calling out the hat trick. Also we managed to play in the fourth quarter this week. Truth be told, I didn't watch a lot of the fourth quarter this week. So I told you I was at the Bucks game. I watched the rewatch. We're up by a bajillion. I'm like, all right. I saw the Eskridge play, and I said, okay, he should have scored. He has a couple of outs in there too. He's talking about defense being like occasionally with gaps that were open, and he's that early on, maybe not wrong. The middle of the field was still abused by St. Brown quite a bit, and again, probably just the philosophy of keep everything there. Don't let them do anything else. And when you're up 38-7, does it really matter? I'm not too sure. So, but good job by Kevin giving us a couple of ins and some outs to discuss as well.
Yeah, they did make us think about the fact that they might screw it up when Detroit got the successful onside kick and then went down to score. And then you started thinking, okay, could this defense, the way they're playing, could they screw this up? No, they didn't.
Yeah, it was a little bit of not fear so much, but a little bit of that exact line of questioning did creep in.
The out to special teams is right on, though. I have no idea. It wasn't just the onside kick that they blew, but every single kick return by the Lions, I felt like they were picking up positive yardage. Jason Myers had to make a tackle in this game. So special teams in this game was a definite out.
Well, two things on that particular play. Number one, Jason Myers kicked the ball to the 9-yard line, right? So that's, and again, it's windy and rainy out there, so these things happen. But the ball went to the 9 on that play that Myers had to make the tackle. So that's not a great kickoff. The other thing is, we talked about it all freaking year that DJ Dallas is not a return man. But if you watch that dude from Detroit, the name is escaping me. That is what a return man the NFL should look like. That dude he is so freaking fast and quick that you give him a little bit of space. He's the one cut Johnny, and he can take it up for 20, 30, 40 yards. So the moment I saw that guy return a kick, I was like, he's going to do this a couple more times. And lo and behold, he did, because that's the type of talent who should be returning kickoffs in the NFL, which, by the way, again, we have 2 players of that ilk sitting on our team that we just don't allow to return kicks. Something I hope we correct for next year, to be honest.
Bridget comes in via the Ring of Honor. Usually Bridget's coming in via Discord, and here she is with the in defense. 3 interceptions on the day.
Yes.
In Metcalf, a career day with the 3 touchdowns. In Myers was perfect. In Pete kept it classy and didn't force another score at the end. It's debatable whether that's an in, Bridget. Out to Wagner and maybe Reed at the end got hurt. The team looked pretty decent all around, considering the number of backups on defense. Out too little, too late.
Yeah, and that's the sad part we talked about. And one thing I want to, they got the into DK there. 3 touchdowns is 3 touchdowns. Awesome for his stats. I own a bunch of DK rookie cards, so I like that. I was interested in watching DK and Russ. After touchdowns, it didn't seem like they were huggy feely. It seemed like really businesslike, and Russ running over to him, but not really getting a lot of love from DK, even after even that fade route ball that just goes directly over the cornerback's head and into a DK's breadbasket. A beautiful ball. I don't know. It just seemed like DK was yeah, dude, maybe the too little too late that Bridge is bringing up. Maybe DK's feeling that a little bit too, which again, it's a little tumultuous. I didn't like that, Brandon.
Yeah, well, you brought it up off the top on Russell's uncertain status. Maybe DK with his relationship knows a little something that the rest of us don't too. So there's all this stuff that you can read in that we really have no clue about. So
we don't. We can only speculate, and that's that. And I shall.
And that's part of the fun. That's why we do this, so we can speculate.
It is. Chris Boucher, he was a great member of that fantasy league I was just talking about. He says, in Carlos Dunlap, keeping contained on Amon-Ra St. Brown on the jet sweep. He got him for a 4-yard loss. It was a beautiful play. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a baller. That dude is wily. He's good. He's great in space. He's great with the ball. Got good hands. Dunlap made a heck of a play there to string him out and made the play towards the sideline for a big tackle for a loss there. So nice call out there, Chris.
Moving over to the Discord, Josh DeHuman coming with the in. Penny with the 2 touchdowns and 80 yards by 11 minutes left in the second quarter. Yeah, he was having a game even through the first half. Out the missed tackles by Diggs and Taylor on St. Brown, leading to the touchdown. and an into DJ Dallas, doing solid on the returns.
All right, so we disagree on one of those three, but that's okay. You don't mind that. You don't mind. And Swain had
solid. It was,
yeah, he's fine. He's fine.
He didn't fumble. He turned it upfield. He got positive. He got it over the 25.
He gets the ball and goes straight, and he doesn't fumble. So I'm not complaining about the dude. We wouldn't have been 10-6 if we had a different kickoff returner. So it ain't that. We'll just gotta change it next year. No big deal. Carr. Speaking of things we do not have to change, Carr coming in hot. Penny averaging 10 yards per carry at one point. I think Penny's leading the league now in like YPC, like by a good stretch. Like he's beating like Josh Allen, who was leading the league in yards per carry.
And the crazy thing was that, and maybe it was Carr who mentioned it at the Rashad Penny touchdown, saying, "Oh no, that's going to take down his average."
That's funny.
Carr, I think, was also the one who first noticed within the group that Russ had the fingerless glove on his right hand throwing the football too, and it was interesting to see that that's where he decided to go, and I guess made the shift after the initial 3 and out too. So. Maybe we need to see him doing that more in the wet weather.
Yeah, listen, he was the rain didn't bug him on this one, right? He threw the ball quite well.
Right hand Dan with the impact of AP on a running back room since joining. No matter who we have next year at running back, keep him around, because imagine having a future Hall of Famer keeping you motivated.
Yes, always good to have a Seahawks legend, whether he's coaching you or not. Speaking of Seahawks legends, Cam Chancellor, you're out there, right? Maybe he wants to come back and coach a little bit. That sure would be fun. So Golden Hawk, by the way, Brandon, condolences. We know you're a huge fan of not just the Golden Girls, but of Betty White. Golden Hawk, your moniker in the Discord. The Golden is for Golden Girls. She has one heck of a career and a life lived very, very, very well. So, but condolences. I know you were a true and huge fan of Betty White. So
yes, I actually have my I bring it on camera, but it's just out of my reach. But I got the Golden Girls Little People for Christmas, and
very nice.
It was outstanding.
A nice homage, and again, to a life extremely well lived. So you put it out in there, though. You just said out. Special teams allowing some big returns. We talked about this, and yeah, dude, that dude's just quick. You want go rewatch that guy. I don't even know his name. Somebody go find out his name. Their kickoff returner is fast.
Yeah, well, the other out that I thought I maybe mentioned in the Discord, and I wish I could remember exactly what play it was, but I think it was early on in quarter 1, and they send Ryan Neal on the safety blitz, and the dude goes and bites on the fake to the running back, and he would have just been able to clobber the Lions quarterback if he would have just done what he was supposed to do and blitz the quarterback. And instead he bites on the fake. They end up throwing. I don't think it resulted in any kind of big play, but it's like, dude, you could have had a huge play there, Ryan Neal, and you bite on the fake to the running back. And what are you going to do? Chase him down from behind? Yeah. I was mad at Ryan.
Well, especially since he had the one, I think it was earlier,
where he got him from behind.
Where he got there, I thought that was a fumble. Yeah, I thought that was definitely a fumble, but it was nice to see him buzzing around like that and being around the line of scrimmage and doing all those Jamal Adams type things that we're going to be welcoming back. And then some as we hit the 2022 season, not just the year 2022.
Josh Newman back in. Taylor on that 2nd and goal stop.
The NBC winning boom.
Who we've lost in the last few days.
Yes.
John Madden. That was a boom play right there.
And the announcers called it out as so. They both boomed it, and they gave a little homage to Madden, which I thought was really cool. So Josh Newman says out, and Nigel Warrior, he's the one who he muffed the onside kick there, gave them the ball back. And actually at one point, as Josh is saying, he's like, hey, that could have been a turning point in this game. Didn't end up being such, but it was that little bit of like, oh, dude, are we going to make this a game? Because for a hot minute there, it felt like we might. And the Nigel Warrior mistake was the reason we were kind of feeling that way for a little bit.
Frost with the preview in 2022. 4 shows a week with Adam coming in 2022. It's going to be a great year. Yeah. If Adam and I do a show twice a week, and then I come in and do the shows with you twice a week, Clinton, 4 shows. Here we go.
That's 4 shows right there, right? So you got a whole suite to fill out the calendar. And notice people are hammering the in button in the Discord. So Frost mentions it, and people are like, "Yep, give me more," because they get it. They love you. They love you guys. It's as Phil.
Look at us.
No, well, and I always defer because there's the Godfather, and then there's you and Adam, and there's folks who've done stuff on the in the shoulders of giants is what I'm trying to say there. So because
Not
you
saying
guys
it very well, but
no, I'm basically stammering at this point. So anyway, I'll stammer on. What do we got here? This is Jesus, I need my glasses. Hold on, gotta get closer.
DJ Nichols 92.
There we go. DJ Nichols 92 out. Broadcast somehow finding a way to shoehorn in mentioning us not running the ball in the Super Bowl. Yeah, that was nice. That was cool to hear. That just randomly bring up the fact that we didn't run from the 2, and always want to hear that. Always.
How many years ago was that now? And you still have to find a way to bring it up, even though it's not even a Patriots game. Or come on, guys.
Yeah, stupid.
Flocktimus Prime comes in with the out, not scoring on that last drive. It might have been rude, but it also would have been a scoregami. See, Keith would have been there booing with the rest of the crowd in that moment.
Well, yeah, and yes, he would have, and he would have been like, because of the scoregami. Keith is he's a gentleman first, and a scholar second, or perhaps both, and flip flop those. It's okay. The point being is he's smart and he's a gentleman. He would have educated his seat neighbors there and said, "Hey, listen, it's because of this that I'm booing. So you ought to boo as well." And probably would have gotten Pete to look at him and run the ball. And
you just give him the little head nod, and then Pete knows it's like, okay, I got to go for scoregami.
Exactly. And it didn't happen. But Keith is a smart fella. Frost, another smart fella. He says, when you score 50 points, you win. You get a brand in, you get the NBC, and you get to start with an in. So Frost was right on this. He knew the exact way this was going to go today. So good by you.
B-Wags Biceps coming in with the show title. We're undefeated in 2022.
Wonderful. Just math is math, and the facts are facts right there, right? We're gonna head on out to Twitter. We got Gecko HTR. Give him a follow. He hashtags it 3i30 into the Hawks, ending the game in victory formation with the safe and classy move, respecting the Lions. He also says out to the fans for booing victory formation. So, a little yin and yang right there. Again, I think the fans just wanted scoregami. Keith was sitting there with the chance, but Gecko calling out the fact that, end of the day, the classy guy that Pete Carroll does the classy thing and takes the knee at the 1-yard line.
He did say in the press conference, even if he had known that it was scoregami time with any score at all, he still would have taken the knee.
Yeah. Well,
and then Keith showed up in the press conference and booed him.
Well, he's a gentleman, he's a scholar, and he's consistent. 3 things about Flocktimus there.
Bailey with the out, the Lions driving on this defense.
And I commented to Bailey out on Twitter. That was one of the ones where I was like, yeah, at 38-7, I was just out. I'm like, okay, but I want the voice to be heard. I want Bailey to know what we're following along out there. And it could have been a little frustrating seeing the over the middle stuff. But when you go up that big, that's when I stop caring if they're moving the ball. And that's where I'm sure you, Brandon, as well. Gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Let me eat more and more clock. If you want to go 8 yards a clip down the 100 yards there, it's all right. It's okay. Before we get to this last in and out by who, I think who out there, I want to give one more out to the fans. I'll put that in quotes, of the New York Jets. So I'm at the game. I'm wearing my Seahawks, vintage Seahawks shirt. Now, the best part is it's green, so people may think I'm a Jets fan, and then it's like, aha. So, fooled you, I'm a Seahawks fan. Only one out of a stadium of people brought up the Jamal Adams trade and was like, oh, I hope you lose today because of the draft pick. And I was like, hey, I got you. One person. One. And we saw lots of people. We were in the parking lot 2.5 hours early. We're social butterflies. We're talking. We're in the stands. We're having fun. One Jets fan brings up the trade, which was kind of a blessing, but come on, a big out to your franchise for not knowing how to act in that situation.
Yeah, you should have given, and these are New Yorkers, so it's
right.
Not like they're not opposed to giving you crap.
No, not at all. The only thing that I did see was, and I mentioned this to you, that it was at least 35% Bucks fans, and then it was probably 15 to 20% like Tom Brady ex-Patriot fans who wanted to see Tom Brady throw a touchdown to Gronk. So, chances are we just weren't around that many Jets fans because they're terrible.
Sure, but I suppose even Bucks fans probably said, "Well, I bet Jets fans should hope you lose today."
Yes, way smarter, better looking, didn't smell as bad, the whole thing.
All right, let's kick up the Enter Sandman, 1981. And where is this?
Stores, Yukon. So he grew up. So Bloomy grew up right in Stores, Connecticut, which is where Yukon is, right? Which is where I went to school. And I think Bloomy said too. Oh yeah, he went to. Oh crap, he's gonna kill me because I can't pull the name of the high school, but it's on the tip of my tongue. But the dude from Weezer, Rivers Cuomo, went to that high school also. In fact, the whole band from Weezer, that's how they all met. They all met up there. So Stores is Stores, Connecticut. It's on the campus of UConn. Oh, it's Elo Smith. So he went to Elo Smith High School. It shares a campus with UConn. That's where the Rivers Cuomo and Bloomy went to high school there, which is pretty interesting.
He comes in with not sure if it's an in or an out, but Clinton's Penemy getting more rushing yards in a game than ever had in a game in 3 out of the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, then Carson. I think you missed the Carson part, I believe.
Does that part get cut off? Okay.
Yeah.
Than Carson ever had. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So 3 out of the 4 games, more yards than Carson ever got in a single game. And like I said, I put this out in Discord. I put this out on the Ring of Honor. When I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong, right? The Dirty Dancing line there when he finally apologizes to Patrick Swayze and they go off and they dance together. And I might have been wrong. Now the thing is, I fall in love very easily, Brandon. So now I got to stop myself from falling in love and believing that we need to bring Penny back next year because I'm on the precipice, man. I'm a fool for love, and I'm about to go all in and say we got to bring back Rashad Penny, and I don't know how to feel, Brandon. That's what it boils down to.
Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here before he does anything silly.
All right, and with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.